Welcome to Subramani. Now imagine if you were a fund manager with a long only mandate and you were investing about $2 billion or $1.5 to $2 billion every month in the market. How important would you be for the television channels? I'm sure appearing on television and writing on the media or talking to the media would be almost a full-time job, and you will not have enough time to do your work. Unfortunately or fortunately, the person who is really doing that is the small investor. The SIP amount is so big that most fund managers, their CEOs, their sales head know that their life and livelihood depends on that number, and they dare not disturb that number. And if that number were to turn negative, believe me, there will be panic in the market. I call this the power of small numbers, right? These small guys who's putting 1,000 rupees a month, 500 rupees a month, 50,000 rupees a month, maybe even a crore a month, whatever, is individually not going to be ever be visible to the world. But the amount of influence that he or she has on the market, I think, is humongous. It completely absorbs the sale done by the FIIs, and the FII sale will have to stop at some stage. Now, why are FIIs withdrawing? That's a completely different topic we will talk about separately. But the most important thing is this small investor who is creating so much of wealth for himself and for the others has been told that every day he has to just get up and buy. He doesn't have to do anything. Now, if this continues for another year or two, can you just imagine what will be the impact? There's another 2 billion every month for 2 years is 24 into 2 is another 50 billion into the Indian market, and that's good. And there is a belief by many mutual funds that the fintech companies and the growing number of distributors, let me just say, growing number of distributors because of bank branches opening is far greater than the growing number of individual MFDs coming into this profession or business, as you wish to call it. But the influence is still huge. It's a buy only. He chooses or she chooses a few fund houses, a few schemes, and money gets pumped in. So if you can find out which are the fund houses or fund schemes into which money is coming, you can more or less bet saying, okay, these stocks will go up because this fund house is getting X crores per month and it is getting into these schemes. So those fund managers don't have to do much to keep their NAV high. They can keep on buying what they are buying. They can hide their mistakes. So the SIP figure is actually hiding a lot of problems in the market. But well, the market seems to be going up. Will the government allow more and more of provident fund money coming into the equity market? Yes, the government will allow. Remember, it's only the incremental money which is coming, but the government will allow because the government is convinced that like the CalPERS or the Scandinavian government or the Australian government or the Canadian government, pension funds must be here, and pension funds will keep on buying shares because they got a long-term horizon, right? So India is also in the same category. So we will slowly go from 5 to 10 to 20 to 25 to maybe 45 over a given period of time, after some time maybe. And when interest rates come down and people expect to get at least 8.1% return on their provident fund and at least 7.75 on PPF. So if PPF is 7.75, this has to be 8.1. So PPF comes to 7.15, this has to be at least at 8.1. This 8.1 or maybe 7.9 is some kind of a break, which is not going to happen because in a country without much of social security, etc., I don't think the interest rates are going to come down for the provident fund people. So how can the provident fund authorities give you better return? By taking a little more risk, by putting it into equities, right? So all the small Tom, Dick, Harry, or say Ram, Rahim, Amar, Akbar, Anthony, who's putting money into Provident Fund, is actually creating more value in the market than all the FIIs. All your institutional investors, whatever they say, they can talk. They are talking heads. They come and say, oh, cement will do well, steel will not do well, steel prices going down is good for automobiles, so this is what will happen. They've been saying that for the last 10 years, and automobile industry has not done well for 10 years. Am I saying it won't do well for the next 10 years? No, I'm not saying that. But understand the influence of the small guy. The small guy continuously putting money and helping the mutual fund industry to be where it is. In fact, if you see the travel plans of the mutual fund industry, like me, you will be convinced that Indigo is a good buy. That is we are refusing to acknowledge the power of the small numbers. The small guy is actually propping up the mutual fund industry, at least, and obviously the equity market, and therefore the mutual fund industry, and therefore the life insurance industry, right? So life insurance industry also today sells more ULIP than it sells regular plans, but that's a different story, right? Second, it is easy to confirm rather than sit and argue, especially in a crowd when you want to go home early. Okay, let me put it this way. I had a boss long ago when I was just starting my career as a chartered accountant, who one day called for a meeting at about 7:15 p.m. and said things to which I didn't resist much. So he said, you're not saying no to anything. Literally, I said no to nothing. I said, yes, this can happen, that can happen. And I was not taking a stand at all. And I was very young, maybe just about 23, 24. And so he asked me, how come you're not resisting anything? I said, look, it's 8 p.m. I have to go home. I stay far away. It takes me an hour to get home. I have to eat. I have to sleep. I have to get up tomorrow morning and come for a 9 o'clock meeting. You reach home in about 15 minutes. I don't. And so the ability to resist is gone, right? Now, similarly, when I'm sitting in a crowd and the fund manager says something which is a little unpleasant to me, or I say something which is unpleasant to the fund manager, I don't really pursue the matter. I've stopped giving feedback because it does not matter. It is easy to give in and say, yes, I agree with you, rather than go back and fight with anybody for anything, because it's much easier to give in and give up and go. For example, if my relationship manager 10 years ago or 15 years ago said, I want these documents, I would have argued saying, I know your chairman, I know your MD, I know your promoter, and how can you ask me? You have all these documents. Today, smarter me is just giving them the extra copies that they want, because that path of least resistance takes 20-30 seconds. This letting my blood boil and shouting, screaming, and still getting it done over maybe 15-20 minutes it gives me a great ego kick, saying, wow, I put this girl in her place, or I put this boy in the place. Completely lost the kick for doing all that. So it's much easier to be agreeable and say yes. Now, when I'm on television and they ask me, what do you think is going to be the impact of 50 basis points change in home loan interest? Honestly, the answer is nothing. There is going to be no change at all. You're still going to buy the house. You need a house to buy the house. You will buy the house. The cost of the biggest cost of funding a house is definitely interest, but still people don't see it that way. People see it as, can I afford this EMI, right? So look at the fact that some stupid item like pan masala actually costs much more, maybe about 1,350 or 1,500 rupees a kilo, compared to decent quality badam, which would be 500 rupees a kilo, right? But you never see pan masala as expensive. You see badam as expensive simply because of the quantity that you buy. right? So when you buy one small packet of pan masala, you don't even realize you're paying 1350 rupees a kilo. That is again, like I said a little earlier, the power of small numbers. When you buy, if you were to buy badam as pack of 4 or pack of 5, it would be very cheap and you would buy it without realizing you're paying 500 rupees a kilo. But when you go to buy badam and says 1 kilo is 800 bucks, say a better quality of badam, you balk and say, my god, this is so expensive. Whereas pan parak does not feel so expensive, right? So sometimes you tend to agree with things which you don't actually believe because you want to finish the conversation and go, right? So whether it is a client or whether it is a fund manager or whether it is a sales head, you're sometimes too tired or sometimes too bored giving feedback, because literally the feedback is, please do the things which I told you earlier. Not that they have implemented it, but when they see me, they feel like asking, what else can we do? Nothing. Just get your website in order. Just go around meeting the people. It is high time that you went out and met. All your stupid theories that costs have come down because we can have online meetings is dead and gone. Companies are burning the oil. They are actually going out meeting people. There are some mutual funds where you find the whole CXO team out in the market burning midnight oil, day oil, and really burning air fuel and in meeting. I think it's going to have an impact on the mutual fund industry. The SIPs are going to go up, and this is a buy only mandate. So I do think there are good things. I'll do a similar video saying bad things also. So hear me contradict myself. Thank you.